Hi, welcome to my channel, Life with Annalise. This video is part 2 of my previous video that I announced. I purchased 2 rare plants. One was the Variegated Superbum imported from Korea, and this one will be my Variegated String of Hearts. This trailing plant is known as Serrapegia woodii, Rosary Vine, Collar of Hearts, Chain of Hearts, most commonly known String of Hearts, and my favorite, Entangled Hearts. There are 3 types of String of Hearts. One is the regular green String of Hearts. The other is Variegated String of Hearts, which I'm going to talk about. And the third is the Silver Glory String of Hearts. You can grow String of Hearts by seeds, aerial roots, and by cuttings via water propagation and simply placing them in soil. I acquired 10 cuttings from an online seller that were about 6 inches in length. She did send me 2 extra cuttings, and upon observing the cuttings, I did notice some sections that had aerial tubers, which I'll get into that later on. Since this is my first batch, I decided to propagate horizontally, inducing greenhouse effects to encourage root growth at all the nodes in the soil. I'm going to take you over to where my propagation station is and show you how I'm doing it. I'm at my propagation station right now. I've laid out all the materials that you will need to propagate your succulents, or in this case, String of Hearts. Soil mix is a very important part of this process. We have perlite here, which is great for aeration. Cactus and succulent soil, great for drainage. And sand here for grittiness, since succulent likes the grittiness soil mixture. I mix all of these 3 together. I will also sprinkle some rooting hormone in the form of powder into this soil. You can also dip the nodes into these powder before laying it into the soil. You will also need a clean pair of scissors. And I use the succulent digging tools. They're narrow and smaller, so it's very helpful when you're needing to get into smaller areas of the container. I potted my aerial tubers and my String of Hearts cuttings into the soil mixture that I mentioned earlier and place all of them into individual clear plastic bags. This is the greenhouse effect, or basically chambers that will increase the humidity level, in which will promote root growth. You can see the heavy condensation levels in each of this bag. Since the weather is still a bit cold, I try to control the temperature by bringing my propagation into the house at nighttime. We are still seeing temperature drops to the high 30s to the 40s here at night, and during the day it's a lot warmer, so I am bringing it out for warm weather and also for more sunlight. Every few days I'll open this up and I'll check for condensation, the moisture level, and if I need to spray some water in there, I will do so. It's usually about every other day that I have to do that. You'll still want to open up the bags and check for mold, or just to let some air in. I do recommend that you puncture tiny holes to get some air in there for circulation. Mold and rot is always a concern when you're doing these greenhouse propagation. Alright, so on to aerial tubers. They recommend that you keep the aerial tubers on the main plant and pretty much layer it into the soil. I didn't have this option, so I clipped the parts that had the aerial tubers into two and placed one in here and another in here. This one have about 2 aerial tubers and this one have about 3 aerial tubers. Now remember, it's not just aerial tubers that are in these strands. There's also nodes. So I am hoping to get more roots and new plants out of these 2 containers. I've only started this for about 4 or 5 days. And I'll show you a little bit later in the video the progress. I'm so excited that I'm seeing some roots grow. Alright, so I opened one of my pot for the aerial tubers. I pretty much dug a circular hole and laid down my strands of aerial tubers. Then I covered it lightly with the soil and topped it with some sand. Then you just place it in the plastic bag and, you know, check on it once in a while. They say that you should be able to see some roots within a week, and I will show you that in a bit. I did sprinkle a little bit of rooting hormone to help it progress faster. So here are the tubers. As you can see, it looks like this little tiny ball. I actually see a little bit of rooting after only a few days. It is their growth season right now, so that's why it's growing this fast. Pretty interesting. Put it right back in here. Onto my string of hearts cutting. You can see here that I laid the cuttings horizontally along my terracotta pot. I chose terracotta pot because it promotes airflow through its walls. Anytime you have leaves on your propagation, you always want to be mindful of it possibly rotting or there's mold growth. Some people pin down their strings, but I left it alone because I think Mother Nature will know what to do. The roots will grow and will find its way into the soil, searching for moisture. I mentioned in my part 1 of the video where a lot of people can choose to do this butterfly method of propagation where the node resides between these 2 leaves. You would leave it intact and plant it down into the soil. It will look like this. So that was it. All I did was just lay it horizontally with the soil mix, just place it in the bag, check on it once in a while, control the temperature by bringing it inside the house and taking it out when it's warm. Then I will give it enough sun. You know, succulents are very resilient. I've said that before. So you just got to be brave. I will update you guys in a few weeks